Welcome to another episode of the A-List Music Club. I am your host, the Game Changer, Wes Troop. And with me, as always, are Dominic and John. How's it going tonight, guys?
Good. How you doing?
Good. Not that we just haven't seen each other the last few hours, but whatever. This is the show where each week one of us picks a different CD, playlist, whatever, album, and the others check it out. So this time it was Dominic's turn. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you picked?
No.
I'd rather not.
I think, what was it? 1976, I think. I'm not sure.
Something like that.
The double live album by Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band, Live Bullet, recorded in Cobo Arena in Detroit, Michigan.
Yeah, there's no favoritism there on your part.
Yeah, not at all.
Well, I'll tell you, man, growing up in Detroit, Bob Seger was the shit. I mean, he was huge. Now, this album came out a little bit before he broke it big. I mean, this album helped to break him big with "Turn the Page" on it, and Catman. He had a minor hit with Catman-Do before this, but it was, this was the album that kind of broke them and made them more of a national powerhouse. And then the album right after this was Night Moves. So, yeah.
Is that place still around? Cobo Hall? Is that still there?
Cobo Arena? Nope.
Oh, okay. I didn't think so. That was a hot spot back in the 70s. Everyone that came through town went there.
Oh, yeah. That was everything.
Is it like where the Tigers play? Like,
no,
around
it
that
was,
area?
It was where the Joe Louis Arena was.
I thought so, yeah.
Cobo, I don't think the arena's there. I think Cobo Hall is still there.
Oh, okay.
Which is like a convention hall. That's where they have the Detroit Auto Show and stuff like that. And that's where they have it. But yeah, so this came out right at the time when everybody was coming out with live albums. Everybody was the mid-70s. Everybody and their brother came out with a live album.
Kiss, as we all know.
Huh?
Kiss, of course, is one we all know.
Kiss, Bob
It can come to live.
Brampton,
Yeah.
Cheap Trick, because I think it really pretty much kind of started with Kiss because it broke them, nationally. And I think other bands thought, well, maybe we don't translate as well. Let's put out a live album,
That was Cheap Trick's first big hit.
Oh, yeah.
The live album, yeah.
Yeah. They had a minor hit with Surrender, but that, it was the live version was more popular than the studio version was. But I digress. Yeah, I think this album's, I don't know. I can't say it too much about it because to me, it's a classic. It's one of my favorite albums. Love it. I think my favorite song off the album is one of my favorite Bob Seger songs is Traveling Man. I just think that is just an incredible song. And Ramblin' Gamblin' Man, and I think Jody Girl's awesome. I mean, Turn the Page, even though it's been played 18,000 million fucking times. But yeah, it's a great album, a great live album. The band, his band, that Silver Bullet Band was so tight. They were so good together. Alto Reed playing sax, rest his soul. He just died a couple years ago. Drew Abbott, Charlie, God, what was his last name? On drums. Charlie
Martin Smith.
Charlie Martin. I think it's
Charlie Allen Martin, yes.
Yeah. He was in a car accident not long after that and became a paraplegic.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I loved it. Go ahead, pick it apart, you fucks, but you just don't know what you have no
Well,
you have no standing.
I'm familiar with Bob Seger, of course. I know
Yeah.
all the stuff that the radio plays. I have like 2 of his greatest hits albums. That's like all I really know. This is my first ever Bob Seger album all the way through. And I looked at the track list and I'm like, I know like 4 of these songs. A lot I don't know. And Nutbush isn't even his song, but I know that song. I know Turn the Page. I knew Rambling Gambling Man. I knew Catmandu. That's all I knew.
Okay.
But I like that it's a straight up live album. It's like if you went and saw them, this is how it would have been. This was the set list.
Yep.
It wasn't like some that come out now where it's like hit after hit after hit. And then when you see them in concert, you're like, no, they don't even do half those songs. Like, that to sell to the masses. But I like that this is what his concert was at the time. Super energetic. Holy shit. These guys are giving all they got. You can just hear it.
The great band. They are a great band.
They're one of those bands. Yeah, they probably played 300 days a year. They're tight. They knew these songs inside and out. Yeah, they're really good. I like Jody Girl. I thought that was a nice song. I never heard it before. It was nice.
Yep.
I liked what's the other one? Hold on. I think Rambling Gambling Man, Heavy Music, and Catmandu right in a row is just like the centerpiece of this album. That's the main part.
Yeah.
That's probably the best part of this whole album. Those 3 right in a row, just boom, boom, boom. Even though Heavy Music is like 8 minutes long, but
yeah. The Beautiful Loser, it was a small hit for him before this album.
Yeah, that's actually the album he was touring for this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's sort of the next live album I looked at, I would probably know better. It's more songs than I know. Because that was right after he hit it big. So it's good for that, good document of a band right before they hit it big. When they're just like Grand Funk Railroad always was. Like they're just a band for the people.
Yep.
They just tour and play, and if you see them, you like them.
Grand Funk Railroad, another Detroit band.
Yes, very hardworking, middle class.
That's how all those Detroit bands were, Yeah.
That's who bought their records, those people.
Yeah.
They played to their audience, yeah. I thought it was good. It's probably not something I would go back and listen to over and over again. But I didn't skip anything. I didn't hate it. If I knew more songs, I probably would have dug it more. But it was good. It's a very good document, very good live album. And you could feel the sweat coming through the speakers. Like
yeah.
You could hear they're playing their asses off, and they give their all every night, whether playing in front of 100 people or 100,000.
Yep. Yeah. Go ahead, Wesley boy.
Yeah, I liked it too. Like John, I know the songs on the radio, Bob Seger, the obvious choices that probably starting from old time rock and roll when I was a kid. Yeah, from Risky Business. Not that I was watching Risky Business as a kid, but and I one thing I do remember is like those greatest hits albums. When those came out, they had a commercial, and I remember like my friends in school were like would always go Catmandu. So the teacher would be like, "How do you know that song?" But so that's some of the ways I learned who Bob Seger was. I just listened to this earlier, and I looked at the track list, and I said to Dominic, "I know like 2 songs." I'm like, "When was this made?" And he said, like, this is before he made it big. I said, well, that makes sense. Yeah. I was expecting like a greatest hits live or something,
Yeah.
But like you guys said, the band sounds great. I like the back and forths he has with the crowd and stuff like that. I thought I didn't recognize the song title Nutbush City Limits, but when he started singing it, I'm like, I think I know this song. And Dominic said that's a Tina Turner song. And like, oh yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, now that's where I heard it from. I liked Beautiful Loser. I thought that has a good solo to it. Get Out of Denver, I thought it's a nice jam session. Obviously, I knew Turn the Page. I thought that's a great one. Kathmandu, of course, is one I always liked as well. Looking Back, I thought was a good and quick song. And like we said about the 8-minute long, it got a little monotonous with like heavy music, Let It Rock, and the Bo Diddley medley. But they're fine. It's just a lot like of instrumental, like boom, here you go, like in a row. The only one I thought that was like skippable was UMC. I'm like, that was okay. But
do you know do you know what UMC means, Wesley?
It said it on there. I don't remember.
Upper middle class.
Oh, okay.
Sing to your audience.
I want to be a doctor, lawyer, or professor, a member of the UMC.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what I really like? Just to I don't mean to interrupt you, Wesley. I got to.
I'm done.
But one of the best back and forths in there was when I was talking backstage, and they said Detroit audiences are the greatest rock and roll audience in the world.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought to myself, shit, I know that for 10 years. All right, let's rate this pig.
No, I did like it
though. Okay. All right, let's rate this pig.
Is there any trivia?
Oh yeah, is there any trivia?
Live Bullet became a staple of FM rock radio in Detroit.
There you go.
Classics such as the live version of Nutbush City Limits and the medley of Traveling Man, Beautiful Loser were among the most widely played live tracks on Detroit stations, such as WWWW,
W4,
WRIF, or WABX.
Yep, all the old rock and roll stations, man.
Other tracks such as Let It Rock, Turn a Page, and Get Out of Denver also received airplay in Detroit. At this time, Seger's music was mostly regional. While he was huge in Detroit, he was unknown in Chicago. 3 months after this album was recorded, they had a show scheduled for Western Michigan University that was canceled because they only sold 100 tickets.
Wow.
Then they said they played another show in front of 78,000 people with Alvin Bishop and Todd Rundgren. Then the next night they played a show on their own for less than 1,000 people in Chicago. So they were kind of one of those bands. They just toured and toured and toured to build up their following. But said Night Moves came out, that put them in, that's launched them. Yeah, like you said, Don, they were huge in Detroit. They could do no wrong. They were the Beatles.
Nope.
Wow.
Basically.
But outside of there, they were just sort of, one of those bands.
but once they broke.
And kudos for, I know there's not really record labels anymore, but in the 80s and 90s, how many bands would put out one album, and if it didn't sell, you were done?
Yeah.
There was no 5 or 6 or 7 hoping to try and make it big. It was,
you were a one-hit wonder.
Money.
Yeah.
Yeah. We give you all this money. We want a hit record. If you don't, go away. And cut their losses. There's no developing an artist and letting them have a long career. Yep. That's what we're gonna rate this thing.
You know what my rating is gonna be. It's 10. If I could rate it higher, I'd rate it higher.
Jeez.
If I lived with it as long as you did, Don, I'd probably have more affection for it.
Yeah, I understand.
You've been listening to this thing for like 50 years.
Yeah.
So, but it wasn't terrible. I didn't hate it. Like I said, it's not something I would probably go back to. I'll stick to the greatest hits. So it's an 8 for me.
Very respectable.
And I'm gonna agree with John and give it an 8 as well.
That's good. I wanted to open your guys' eyes up to like that's like what I did with Jay Giles. You know,
Oh
just
yeah, that
the
Mhm.
type of energy and everything they had in their live performances.
and that was another one where it wasn't really. It was before like those big hits
Mm-hmm.
it had.
And back then, I mean, my dad would tell me stories about, you know, maybe Kiss was coming to town and you'd pay to see them, but there'd be 3 other bands opened up with Kiss that you maybe never heard of.
Mm-hmm.
But you'd be like, oh, they were pretty good. So then you go buy their record. Next time they come to
Mm-hmm.
town, you'll go see them. They don't do that much anymore.
That's how it was when I saw Thin Lizzy for the first time, and a group called AC/DC opened for them. Never had heard of them. And then my buddy and I, the next day, we each went out and bought one album. He bought High Voltage, and I bought Power Age. And he had an 8-track player that would record. So we recorded each one. So we each had the copies of them. Yeah.
And I remember my dad telling me, like, you would just go on the weekends to see whatever band was coming to town.
Whether you like them or not.
What you did, you would just like, hey, let's go out to this bar, go to this. Tickets were like $6. I mean, you would just go.
Yeah.
For something to do on the weekend, hang out with your friends, listen to music. Not like now where it costs a small fortune. You can't do that every weekend.
You're
lucky you can do it once a year.
Yeah.
The first time I saw Kiss, you know what the ticket price was?
Nah.
$7.50.
Wow.
God,
now it's probably $7.50 another way.
You can't even get a bottle of water at one of their concerts for $7.50.
Oh no, it's like $15 for a beer.
When we went to go see Green Day, it was $10 for each of us for a beer.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. All right, Wes, your pick.
All right, you guys are gonna
great.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Oh man.
We shouldn't let it pick, John.
90s music.
No, this is 2000s.
Oh, even worse.
No Great Commander or whatever. No,
the Great Commandments. No, it won't be that bad. Now I know a number of songs off of this album. I don't know the rest, but I like a lot of songs that this band does, and I had this CD laying around and thought it would be fun to check it out. It is Paramore, Riot.
All right.
Who the fuck is Paramore?
I knew you were gonna say that. You might know a couple of these songs. You probably know That's What You Get, because that was on Guitar Hero.
They're a rock band that doesn't really rock.
Yeah, it's from 2007.
Like a pop band. That's a really popular album for them.
Pop rock, yeah.
Girl singer.
All right. So we'll be back with our thoughts on Paramore next week. Until then, John, you want to talk a little bit about the podcast?
We Like Wrestling Podcast. It's a weekly podcast and YouTube show. We talk about any and everything wrestling related. We are on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you find podcasts. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I don't know what else we're on. I don't remember. YouTube. We Like Wrestling Podcast. Pretty much everything. Yes. Yeah. And of course, for me, you can subscribe right here on YouTube, youtube.com/westside515. Like the show on Facebook, facebook.com/WestTruePlaylist. And of course, you can follow me on the Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd @WestAlist. Until next time, truth out.